What's up you guys? So today I'm making a video on how you can locate the fish, and this is more of a saltwater fishing 101 tips and tricks. This is a video that I wish was out when I was getting into saltwater fishing a really long time ago, and would have saved me hours, days, thousands of dollars of wasted time out on the water and just spinning my wheels trying to find the fish. So the first thing, if you're getting into saltwater fishing or you want to get into saltwater fishing, you have to know where to find the fish. Maybe you're going on a vacation this summer and you've got 1 week to catch fish, or maybe on your 1 week vacation your wife is letting you go fishing for 1 day and you got 1 day to try and catch the fish. So this is a video I hope that will help whether you're new to saltwater fishing or you're experienced and you just want to refresh yourself on some of the fundamentals, or maybe even get a different perspective from how Christy and I, who do this YouTube channel, One Fish, Two Fish, and how we locate our fish. We do tons of traveling. We go to spots and we have 1 day, 2 days max where we've never fished and we're using our own resources. So this is one video that I wanted to make to kind of help you guys to think like fish and to think like a hunter and not the hunted, so that you guys can minimize the word luck in your fishing excursions and maximize your fish catching potential. So I'm going to get right to it. I'm going to show you guys some quick tips and tricks and some fundamentals for locating saltwater fish. Alright, so the first thing that we want to look for saltwater fish is we're going to look for physical pieces of structure. And when I talk about that, I'm talking about depth changes, I'm talking about docks and bridges, I'm talking about points, inlets, rocks, I'm talking about any type of structure or area that stands out from the rest. When you're thinking like the hunter and not the hunted, you are seeking out the fish. You're putting together that puzzle and you're continuously seeking out clues to where the fish are. But you have to have some of these elements that I've talked about and are right here. These are what you would look for, is more of the fundamentals of where you're going to locate fish and where you're going to maximize your fish catching potential. Okay, so let's start with the first one, and that's structure. That's easy. We all know that. Those are docks, bridges, could be a rock. Structure can also be a flat. It can also be an area, and a flat in fishing is, that's what we consider like a marsh flat, where there's, you know, grass and there's tall weeds, and it might only be a foot or two of water that's, it's flat, and there's maybe like a 6-inch depth change on that flat. And a flat is typically going to be, you know, in low country areas. Those are going to be inside of inlets, and those are areas that are going to hold crabs, crustaceans, and small bait fish, which are going to attract your predator fish. So structure is the first thing that we're going to look at of all types. We're going to be looking at docks, bridges, flats, depth changes, all those. So that's the first thing that we're going to look for, is structure. The next thing that I had mentioned in structure is depth changes. And depth changes are very important. Depth changes allow predator fish to hide and to go up to where the bait fish are. That sounds really lame and simple, but it's true. And I'm going to show you guys on some videos on Google Maps of how I break down a new fishing spot, and I'll show you guys how to find the depth change. That's a big thing that we're going to look for how to locate the fish. Okay, so the other thing that we're going to look for is we're going to look for areas of land like points, inlets, even rocks. So where you have points, where you have rocks, and places where the predator fish can hide as the bait fish are getting swept away through the current, or they're swimming into more safer water than those predator fish, they're going to come out from the rocks, and they're going to come out from, you know, areas behind the point. If you have a rock jetty, then that's another area that you want to look for to target saltwater fish. So inlets, jetties, rocks, those areas are great places to start for finding the fish. Now, if you can find a place that has all of these things, all the above, then that's a score. Those are places that I target when I'm going to a new area to find the saltwater fish, where they have all those attributes in one location. That's a place where you're guaranteed that there's fish there. You just have to put together the next thing and how to catch those fish. We're going to make a video on that after this one, but I want to get to showing you guys getting into the mind of a hunter and seeking out finding the fish. And so I also want to show you guys, just coming from my perspective with Christy and I, and we do our YouTube channel, and we go to new places all the time, and we only have 1 to 2 days to be productive and to locate the fish. So I'm going to show you guys on my computer how I do that. All right, you guys, so this was one trip that Christy and I took. We went to Charleston, and we only had a day and a half. What I did when we were coming to Charleston, we were driving in through here, and we had the whole entire city at our fingertips for a day and a half. And so out of all these places, I was looking at a location that had, again, moving water. It had structure. Again, bridges, road bridges are great. So out of all these places, I looked at this bridge right here that I'll zoom in on. So this inlet in here was a location that Kirsty and I went to that we had no idea what we were, or where we were going to fish. I'm sorry, we had an idea what we were doing, but not where we were going to fish. And this was where we ended up fishing. We ended up doing really well. So again, we had all of the structures and everything, all the components that we look for in terms of locating the fish. You're going to have moving water coming in and out of here. That's going to have, current, with the tides going in and out. You've got points right here and right here. Bridges, you typically have either man-made or natural channels that are going to have deeper water. So that means you're going to have abrupt depth changes. Up here, you'll see this is a flat right here, and I ended up fishing right here and casting, down to this bridge and right along this drop off, and it was very productive. Caught tons of flounder here, tons of flounder here, and so that was just an example of me and where in one fishing trip that we took, and we had 1 day to locate the fish and how I break down a fishing spot. Okay, so another fishing trip, and this one's very recent, that Kirsty and I took was to South Florida. And the weather was horrible. It was freezing. All the locals were saying that there was no fishing to be had, and even some of the snook were dying. So we were coming across Alligator Alley, and we had 30 minutes to go fishing, and that's where I caught that pretty good snook, that slot snook. That was the first ever snook that I caught, and people were so surprised that I caught a snook in how horrible the fishing conditions were. What I like to look for is roads and bridges. I'm typically not a pier or bridge fisherman, but it's a good place to start. And especially when you're just driving through an area and you only have 30 minutes and you don't have a boat, which is like millions of us, these are great places for you to start. What I saw, and this was just kind of from my phone, but I'm showing you guys from my computer, you can see, let me zoom in a little bit more. Let's hope this loads a little better so I can show you how you can see deep and shallow water just with Google Maps and Google Earth. So as you can see, obviously this is very, very shallow, and then the deeper that the tone gets,
of this kind of bluer area, that's, what you're going to see is some of the deeper water. You can see right here, this is the main boating channel right here. But when we pulled up right here, and instantly I saw that there was a current that was ripping this way. And so obviously we had the bridge pilings right here. So when you have current ripping this way, that's where the bait fish are, getting pushed down through here. And then you're going to have your predator fish, which, let me zoom in a little bit more, but you can see that you've got rocks right here. And rocks are a great structure. We had fast moving current moving through here. We had pilings, one right here, one right there, one right there, one right there, and you could barely cast out to there. So within 2 casts, Christy and I, we had 30 minutes. So my second cast, I didn't even have my drag set. Such an amateur mistake. But I was right here and casted right up to this piling, and all I did was just let my bait come down, and I popped it. Pop, 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 and it took the bait right there is where I caught this snook. Again, had some locals right in here who were fishing just with cut bait and live bait, and they were like, wow, like, man, that's a nice fish, like, what'd you catch that off of? And honestly, I was just using an artificial, and that was on a day that people said was one of the worst days of fishing of the whole year. But again, that's thinking like the hunter and not the hunted, because where you can locate the fish, you are eliminating luck and you're maximizing your fish catching potential. So there's another example for y'all right there.
So hopefully that helps y'all when you're going to the beach and, again, trying to minimize luck and just your chances of catching a fish and maximizing being the hunter and finding the fish.